This is a Daughter Podcast where dads come to talk, think, and thrive with your hosts, Oscar and Blandon. Our mission is to cultivate a community of strong, mindful, and present fathers.
We want to curate honest conversations with all men, but especially those who have the honor of raising daughters.
Hey, everyone. Welcome back to the Daughter Podcast. Here on our 25th episode with Blandon on the other side. What's up, man?
Man, I am doing fantastic. Look at us. We are 25 episodes in. We were talking about this earlier, that 90% of podcasts don't even make it past 3 episodes. And then there's another story that says if they do make it past 3 episodes, then they all stop after 20 episodes. And we're on 25. And we got more content. We got more things coming down the pipeline, man.
Yeah, we're getting busier than we should be, really.
We really are. We really are. It's a good problem to have.
Yeah, it's a good problem to have, man. It's been a crazy ride. We thought we would talk today about how that worked out, how it's been working out. You know, we're at the bottom, now we're here kind of thing, right? Yeah. So now let's talk about how this even happened. We've got a lot of people that have made this work for us.
Absolutely.
So many, from our guests, from mentors. Yes. Joey and Drew over at Few One have been just a bedrock for us. Our families, for knowing that we got to sit in here and take up their rooms and put time together. So it's just been a crazy ride, dude.
Yeah. And it's just getting started. It's just getting started for us. That's how I feel. Like, we haven't even plateaued. Like, we're still climbing. We're still climbing, man.
It's been a climb for sure. Yeah. We haven't got shirts though. See these fancy little shirts.
Look at these shirts. Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So we're doing some stuff.
Yeah. We're paying for some things, you know.
Shh. We'll tell the wife that. No, yeah, man, it's been crazy. So we started publishing back in April.
Yes.
We started back in like November of the year prior.
Yeah.
Just talking, strategizing, kind of just thinking through. And then we just hit I don't even know what to call it, like a wall. We just, this sounds great. And then crickets.
Yeah.
And it's been nuts to like actually put it into play, put the work into play, and then take that leap forward and get just our learning on, dude. Like I've been learning so much from podcasting to social media to editing, but then also like the father learning I've been getting out of this has been pretty untouchable. Like it's just been like things that I've been able to put into play, very pragmatic, almost on every corner. Just having conversation between you and I, or our guests bringing in their nuggets of wisdom has been really, really helpful.
Yeah, man. And now we're building a community of like-minded individuals who share our same values and share our same hopes of being better fathers and husbands and men. And, just kind of sharing that same thing in common, that we're raising daughters. So we want them to be strong women, and not just like strong, like the cliche strong, but like strong mentally, right? Strong spiritually, strong emotionally, that don't give up, that are not quitters. And, and that's, I just want to give us some praise right now, because we haven't quit. We've just kept going. And Joey said one thing that kind of has resonated with me ever since he said it. And it's very true. And he said that all good will be attacked. And so there have been some things that could have held us up, that should have held us up, that should have stopped us in our tracks. Yeah. But each and every time we made a conscious decision to show up, be here, do the work, overcome, and just be honest with one another. And I think that's what I appreciate also in this, is that I know I couldn't have did this by myself. I could not have done this by myself. So thank you so much for pushing me to do this, showing up, being enthusiastic, being excited about this process with me. I mean, it really does matter who you get on the mic with. You know what I'm saying? It really does matter who you have these conversations with, who you get in front of the camera with. It matters. So you see some clips of podcasts and then the energy is off and you're like, oh, it shouldn't be that hard. But no, man, if the energy is not right between us two, then it's like we shouldn't film. We shouldn't shoot that day. Yeah. But I'm so grateful that you show up every single time ready to work. So I appreciate you, man.
Yeah, man. Same to you. I mean, it's been a process with getting us in the same space. We work through Squadcast, but it feels like we're in the same room because we have to get into the same mindset when we're working. So, and then not to mention, we've got these full-time jobs, right? And you've carried us through a ton with my duties and getting me, getting me out of the house with my work, not being able to put as much into this. So it's been just an amazing partnership that has kept us going to now through 25 episodes. Unless you've podcasted before, and I say this very cautiously because we're still learning literally every day.
Yeah.
But unless you've podcasted before, you don't realize the amount of work that goes into just sitting here and talking. Because this is actually the easy part,
right?
But it's all the one behind it and then after it, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And so if you have podcasted, you know exactly what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
And just getting the time for the family, because it's time we had to take away, fitting it in somewhere between work and the family, some late nights, a lot of late nights. Yeah. And trying to get us through this. So again, man, it's been a journey. I like where we're at. I'm proud of where we're at. But we need to do more.
Yeah.
And we need to do better. So we're constantly learning, constantly taking it on. And again, with the support of our backup team, which is again our guests, our families, our mentors, it's only going to get better. So we can't wait to show you what is to come. We can't even wait to see what's to come for us as we go through this. But it is important to celebrate these little wins. This is a big win for us. And if you think about April 10th, that was our first episode.
Yeah.
We have been able to produce an episode every week, minus 1 week, mind you.
Right.
1 week we missed it. In that 1 week, I heard about it.
Yeah.
So when folks were like, hey, what happened? Right. And I was very concerned. I was very concerned that we were going to lose momentum at that time. I was concerned that that was going to put a stop to what we were doing. It didn't. We were able to recover and do the thing, but life gets in the way, bro. Life, the enemy has a vote, right? So for us, the enemy is life, time, all the things that come into play, sick kids, sick adults, work demands, all these different things.
Yeah.
Travel's been hectic.
Travel has been wild. Okay. And we have been able to film while traveling. Like that is a testament to both of us. Like we have been able to, even while we were away, like getting episodes in, getting interviews in is wild. Right. It's absolutely wild.
Yeah, it was touch and go there though. With I don't know if y'all know, but internet in hotels isn't really made to produce a podcast at 1080p for an extended amount of time. So kudos to the hotels that I have been able to use and let us do that. But that has been for sure one of our biggest blocks is how much you have to travel and then how much I have to travel. And then when we have to travel at the same time, it's just been crazy.
It's been crazy.
Yeah. So April 10th, we are now 20 September. That gives us, if I'm doing math right, 6 months.
You're doing math in public, so.
I know it's bad. And we're still here.
Yeah.
So this is great.
Yeah.
Very awesome. Now we're strategizing in our business and how the daughter company is going to keep moving forward, how much the daughter podcast can produce value to our community. And man, the community has been awesome.
Yes.
Building the community has been just surprisingly cool for me. I just, like, I always imagine there's dudes out there that have daughters that you talk to, but to build our community, the daughter network that we're creating is really cool. And you've done a great job with that.
No, man. I mean, thanks. I mean, just getting these guys in there, like our founding members, like just saying that just, almost like gives me chills, right? Because it is like, it's the tip of it. It's not even the full iceberg. Like we are growing, and we have things that we're going to implement and focus on and put in place to grow this network. And once again, not just for the podcast, like, and I think that's what people like misunderstand about the vision that we have for this. We have for this to be so much bigger than what you guys like hear for 30 minutes or see for 30 minutes. We want this to really affect change in the culture. Like you say, we just want to leave behind a legacy of just something good, just something that we have contributed. We've left the world slightly better than, we entered in it. Right.
Yeah.
So we can leave just a little bit more good in the world. And I'm hoping for greatness here, man. I really am.
Well, we're on our way. We got the Mighty Network that has the daughter network there. We have our newsletter that's coming out.
Yes.
And again, our intent is always to provide value. How can we, in a little bit selfishly, like when I write some of these things or when I read some of these things, it's providing value to me.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And so it took me a while, but I've realized if I'm asking a question, if I'm wondering something, if I'm thinking about something, a process, a procedure, something to be better at being a father to my girls, someone out there is also in that mindset.
That's right.
And for us to be able to put it out into the world and be able to help someone out, even with just a little thought, I think it's gonna be very, very helpful. And like you mentioned, it's also changing some of that culture of that, taking that stigma off of this whole toxic masculinity thing. We want to show what we are as fathers. We want our girls to see that. We want other fathers to see that, and to show how important we are within our daughters' lives.
Yeah. So real quick, can you pinpoint at this point, like your favorite episode thus far that we've done? Like, not saying there's going to be some great ones coming forward, but so far of the content that we put out, is there one that stands out for you?
Oh man, that you put me on the spot there. Joey might throw me under the bus because that was a great interview. I think for me, when Shane came on and reminded us to be proud of the amount of progress that you've made as a father, that was pretty big for me.
Yeah.
That was, we get into the grind, right? Like you're just like, and some of us different than others.
Yeah.
Through these episodes, I've talked about how I just, knowing my girls were coming, I just put on blinders, and my mindset was, how do I provide? I still want to provide, but I've also done other things that I just don't give light to for myself.
Yeah.
And so when he came on and he physically said, yeah, I'm proud of the dad I've become to this point. Because when he talked to us, I believe he had just had his third daughter.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so, man, it was just a stopping point for me to reflect and say, actually, I'm kind of proud too. I kept my kids alive.
Yeah.
They seem to be thriving.
Yes.
They, they're smart girls. They're just super cool. Like, hey, just to know that and then not to bring light to that. And I'm very cautious, right? I'm not trying to throw a big head on myself to say, oh, I'm done. Like, but just to realize how much work has been put into that.
Right.
I think is really cool. And in that interview kind of give you that thought process too, because I talked to my wife, and as I think it was my youngest 4th birthday, and it's only 4 years for her, right? But then I looked at my wife, I'm like, accumulative, we've been parents since 2012.
Yeah.
Like, this is a celebration of us being parents as well, not just her birthday. I never thought of it like that, ever. And even though Shane didn't talk about it like that, what he said triggered all those things.
Right.
And so that was a really cool episode for me. Again, I've really enjoyed every single episode we've done.
Yeah.
But that one just stands out because it really provided me some perspective on myself and how to give myself just a little win, right? Like, there's little wins that we have to take on. Otherwise you start getting discouraged. And so it's been really cool to allow myself that little bit of a win.
Yeah. Yeah.
How about for yourself?
I think my favorite episode was an episode that we almost didn't do, but we did anyway, which was our food episode, when we were sharing about like how our daughter's eating habits and, you know, like all of that. Because at first you really didn't get it. Because we talk about the episodes before we do them. And you were like, I don't know why we're talking about this. And then I was like, but you will. And then once you got it, like, you shined. Like, you shine. Like, you shine. Like, some of the most feedback we got from that episode was your insight on nurturing our girls' bodies and having a good relationship with food, and how that's important for young women. And their bodies have allowed them to do amazing things. So choose good food. So kudos to you for shining through an episode that we almost didn't even do.
Well, to be fair, I don't get a lot of things until I get them. Like, the knuckle dragger thing is a real thing, bro. You know that.
Yeah.
You know, the lipo has to go off. But what's funny, it was interesting about that episode. You're right. I didn't really know how to take that episode, right? Like, you know, we talk about this a lot. You and I are not professionals at any of these things, right? We're not medical professionals. We're not psychological professionals.
Right.
We're just dudes that are trying to do better every day with their girls, right?
That's it.
But these topics all come up. So you don't have to be a professional to realize that food may be an issue with your daughters.
Yeah.
That you know, activity or lack thereof, or screen time, or all these different things. Like, we don't have to be the professionals. A lot of times it's hard for me to really start thinking through something because I'm like, well, I don't know if I have the insight for that, right? But as we talk through the episodes,
you
explain, right? Like, we're like, oh, that makes sense. This also makes sense. What's interesting about that episode, though, is that relationship with food, I realize it is actually very critical in the female spectrum, right?
Yes.
Just because we know but it's not just with them, right?
Yes.
So I was in military training years ago where we legit would not, the training didn't make us do this per se. It wasn't part of the training, but a lot of us would get this really bad eating habit because we would starve for a while. We'd be out in training, and then we would be doing these things. And so then we'd come back, we'd actually make food lists, and then, which is not a bad deal, right? Because you keep your mind busy while you're doing all these other, all this training that's hard. The problem was you had a bunch of us type A dummies that would get back, and then we would start to compete to see who can finish that food list first. So you can imagine how that can create this bad relationship with food, right?
Right.
And so that would, as we talked through that, the outline of that episode, that's what came into my mind. I'm like, dude, this is a real big deal. And I would hate for my daughters to get into this relationship with food that becomes very detrimental to their lives.
Yeah.
Right. Luckily, you know, I was not a teenage girl, right? But I was mature enough to be able to realize, like, oh, this is not good. Like, what we're doing is not necessarily good. Our young daughters don't have that thought process yet. So I take it like that was I'm glad you brought that up. That was such a good episode for me even reflect on myself and my view, to then go back and be like, I'm not body shaming anybody,
right?
But I do truly know that the body does some amazing things for us, and we do some horrible things to our body, right? Food being involved. So, yeah, that was kind of how that mind track started.
Yeah, no, and that's what I'm saying, man. That I love it because it was like there was so much reticence surrounding it, but then when we got into the conversation, it was just the chemistry there, the insight there was so good. I still go back and listen to that episode to this day. Like, it is one of my favorites, and I think because of all the behind the scenes kind of situation that was going on, that's what makes it my favorite, because the other ones we kind of had an idea about, right? We kind of had an idea of like what we were talking about, how we were going to discuss it, what angle we were going to come somewhat, because we do have real life conversations. Like, this is just a real life conversation.
Yeah.
But that one really was like, okay, I don't know what I got.
Yeah. That's true.
And it was so good.
Yeah. The fact that we have our guests too has been very cool. I mean, just starting off with Trevor bringing us into a full mindset, bro.
Yeah, punch in the face from Trevor. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, man.
Telling me, as a father of a 12-year-old, that I've already spent 75% of my time with my kid that I'm ever going to spend. And I'm like, dude, you can't just come in and drop those bombs like that.
Right.
You know, I wanted to stop recording and go hug the kid.
Right.
But it was such an insightful thing to come in. And even, again, we're not professionals here. Like, even if those numbers are slightly skewed, when I truly think of the lifespan of my daughter, I can almost feel the 75% done.
Right.
Because she's not around for that much longer, or she's growing into herself and is going to go do other things. And then I have my younger girls. Then now I'm like, wait, but what number am I at with them now? Trying to like gauge where I'm at. Right. So that was really cool that Trevor, who, by the way, initiated this whole process, as we mentioned before.
Yes, he did.
By simply just being a dad, saying, hey, where do I find a community of dudes that have daughters that go through these things, that can talk about these things? And he triggered everything. As we mentioned, you and I kind of stalled, and that was the ignition that we needed to go forward.
Yeah, man. Absolutely.
Okay. Who else did we have? We had Nate Feathers came on.
We had Nate Feathers. Yes.
That was a great conversation with Nate.
It was a great conversation that we had with Nate. And then just kind of talking through, like, not seeing yourself as a babysitter, as a dad. You're another parent. You are parenting your child all the time. Like, so like that change of mindset, and then just being there for other dads to really like hone that in. Like, you are not a second class parent in that relationship.
Right.
Like, you are a primary relationship in your child's life.
Right.
And if not, one of the most definitive relationships your child will ever have.
For your girls, absolutely.
So, yeah, man.
That's right.
It was amazing.
Then we had Justin. Justin came in and gave us a view of something that legitimately, I mean, I just never even thought of, right? That blended family.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, that beautiful, like, example of, like, coming in and having a daughter that's not biologically yours, but now you've adopted her and you made her yours, and then you have another child, expanding the family and engrafting them all in, and having to parent them where they are and love them where they are. It was amazing. And Justin is a really good friend of mine, so it was great, and it was comfortable just to have that conversation take place. So
yeah, and it was really cool for him to remind us about the purposefulness of fatherhood.
Oh yeah,
because I mean, sure, like I've had 3 daughters, right? But he has to be so purposeful, to father a daughter that is not biologically his,
right?
And it just reminds you of how purposeful we should be in our daughter's lives,
right? Right. For sure.
Then we brought in Joey.
Oh,
Right?
Joey.
Joey Bone from People Hunt, right?
The guru.
Right?
The guru. Our rock, man. Joey has been our rock. When I tell you, like, his advice just rings in my head all the time. And I'm like, I cannot thank Joey enough for even allowing me to say I'm part of the few. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's important. And those values are important. And
absolutely,
like, living those out, that's important.
Well, he also brought to bear the thought that parenting sometimes is not a given.
Right.
And that was, for me, that was huge too. Again, because like him and his wife were wanting to have a child for a long time and could not. And so the way that he felt about finding out he was having a child and then finding out he's having a girl was so much different than someone like me, who I'm just head down and I'm not even worried about that. Right. And so that was really cool. Again, that perspective changed for me, that lens to be able to put on and say, man, I need to check myself on some of these thoughts, because some folks don't even have that opportunity.
Yeah. And it was just so refreshing to talk to someone else who was just so happy and proud to be a girl dad. Like,
for sure.
That's what he puts before everything else. And that is his legacy. And even though he has this amazing, successful company, like his girls, that is the legacy he's leaving behind in this world.
That's right.
And so that's
I've had calls with him where he's at People Hunt HQ and his daughter's right there.
Yeah.
Like, it's been super cool to be able to share that connection with him, for sure.
Yeah.
After that, we had Shane. We already talked a little about Shane, but he left the world of violence to come over to talk about his daughters. That was really cool.
It's really great.
And something that the viewers and listeners don't know, we held Shane hostage for like an hour.
We did.
After we stopped recording.
When we were learning, we were learning. We're still learning now, but we learned a huge lesson
lesson. And thanks for Shane thanks for Shane's grace to us
and patience
on that time frame where he's just like, hey man, no worries, I'm gonna eat my dinner. It was cool, man.
Play with my girls.
Shane, thank you. If you're listening, thanks for that grace that you gave us. Following on, we had Dr. Aber. That was a cool conversation.
It really was. You know, talking about culture and history and education, and you know, Brian and me are also really good friends. Getting to have that conversation, you know, all three of us, and especially because he is also a private guy. Yeah. And so getting him to think and talk in public with us was great. It was amazing. Yeah. So
I love being able to bounce off those ideas of raising my daughters potentially in a different culture.
Oh yeah.
Right. And so he really had that insight. That was really cool to have him on and have him, throw some really thoughtful nuggets our way.
Yeah.
And finally, we had Rod.
Oh yeah.
Right. From Fit Fatherhood. Great conversation with him, talking about his 4 pillars, but how they kind of mesh into just being a father of daughters for us. Right. And obviously for him, they mesh everywhere. You can take those lessons across the board, boys, girls, whatever.
Right.
But it really opened up just a good conversation about, again, the role of us in our girls' lives and the example that we play in our girls' lives. Right. As we've mentioned several times before, like they're gonna do what they see, not what we say.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And Rod's got a great way of coaching men to be able to be that example for their children.
Yeah. Yeah. And again, just getting into that conversation about like those 4 pillars and, like faith and fitness and finance and family. And of course, these are important, but to be able to boil them down and to like make it so concise so that men can get it. They're not bored. They're not distracted by these things, like giving them something they can really focus on and work and better themselves so they can attain this status of like, yes, premier fatherhood. Because like he said, if I don't do the work, then my girls go out in the world where other children, have fatherlessness, or fathers who don't care, or passive dads, and they don't have the same ideals. And so he's done all this work with his children, and now they're bombarded with all of the nonsense. And you can't blame these kids, because the accountability is on the parents. Absolutely. And so you got to get to the parents first, and then that will affect the lives and livelihood of these children.
Of the kids, for sure. Absolutely, man. It's been an awesome ride so far. Now at our 25th episode. Can't wait to see where we go from here. This whole thing, though, as we mentioned, takes the community. And our community is starting to rally up behind us. It's from content, from topics, all these things we take from the community. We take from other men asking these questions, bringing things up to us to say, hey, this is one thing I've been thinking about, or this is the one thing I'm going through. And in the near future, we'll have just cool things, cool topics to be talking about, some heavy topics as well. Yeah. But I'm super excited at our next 25 as we sit here and figure this thing out together. So for you guys, as we mentioned, send all what you have to us, right? Let's put it on here. Let's put it into a community of men that can learn from all of our experiences, and we can learn from theirs, all right? We have conversations at daughterpodcast.com. We check that on a daily. So if you have any comments, concerns, or topics that you want, please throw those on there. We also have our website, www.daughterpodcast.com, where you'll find all the episodes along with all of the platforms that you can be using for podcasting, as well as our video podcast on YouTube. You can find us there. Please go there, subscribe, and follow us there. And again, let us know what you think as you watch and listen and hopefully learn. Until our 26th episode, This is Oscar signing out with Blandon on the other side. See you guys later.